Hey everybody, Dr. Kevin Hyde here with Pinellasanxietyapecialists. It's day 14 of the 30 days of live videos, and today I had a suggestion to wrap up self-care week of talking about caregiver burnout. And caregiver burnout is something that is it's becoming more and more prevalent as the baby boomer generation is getting older, and there's the sort of this what we call sandwich generation. Those are people who still have children that they're caring for. They have to support through college and things like that, and also they're caring for their parents. So they're in the middle here, having two different generations that they're caring for, which is why it's called the sandwich generation. There's also people that are caring for loved ones who have had some kind of a stroke or other chronic illness or something that has made them not be able to care for themselves. And of course, it's a wonderful thing to be able to care for a family member like that. Instead of having them be in a nursing home. And of course that is an option if they need that intense level of care. But a lot of us want to care for our loved ones ourselves. We don't want to put them in the situation of not being around them or not seeing them that often. And so we take on that responsibility. And as I said, that can be a wonderful thing, but it also can be very challenging because most of us, if we do take on that caregiving responsibility, we aren't trained in it, so we have to go through that process of getting up to speed, of learning about how to care for somebody, about the challenges that they're facing based on their specific illness or aging, and then we have to actually implement that. And it's easy to take that on as our identity, and to the point where we focus on that to the neglect of other things in our lives, the neglect of our job, and especially the neglect of ourselves. And that's where that burnout piece comes in, when we take on that role and we get so wrapped up in it and care for, spend so much of our time caring for that loved one that we forget that we are important too. And as I said in earlier videos, when you're on a plane, they tell you to put the oxygen mask on yourself before you put it on the child next to you, because if you're not caring for yourself, you're not going to be able to care for that person that's next to you. And so that's why this is so important to keep an eye out for. And so caregiver burnout is, the signs of it are very similar to anxiety, stress, depression. It's being exhausted all the time, even when you get a good night's sleep. Disruptions in sleep, not eating as much, so it can be either weight gain or weight loss. It can be losing interest in doing things that were interesting or pleasurable for you in the past. Difficulty concentrating, focusing, can cause challenges with loved ones or coworkers, snapping and things like that, a lot of irritability and anger. And a big thing with caregiver burnout is oftentimes the person who's experiencing it doesn't even notice it. It's the people around them that might notice that change in their personality, that they're saying no to invitations when they would have said yes in the past. And so having somebody, if you are in that position of caregiving for someone, having somebody that you know and love and trust that you can mention to them to sort of keep an eye out and let you know if they're seeing some of those things, so that you can start doing something about it. Because obviously we don't want you to be burned out. We want you to be able to do the caregiving responsibility for the person, your loved one. But if you do get burned out, it's really hard to continue in that role to the same degree. And so using any of the techniques that I've already talked about during self-care week here, making sure you do have some time for yourself, looking into things like respite care, if it's available, hiring somebody like a nurse to come in and take some of that time to do some of that caregiving, to give you that space for yourself, seeing if there are other loved ones, family members that can step in and take on some of that role so it's not all falling on your shoulders. Any of that stuff can help. And of course, finding a therapist that you can sit down and talk about some of these challenges with is something else that can be beneficial. So just keep that in mind if you are in that caregiving role, that caregiver burnout is a real thing, and it's not something that we want you to go through. So if you have somebody that can help point that out to you, that's great, and hopefully some of these tips will be helpful. If you have any questions, please let me know. If you have any suggestions for things you want me to cover the rest of the month, put them in the comments below or shoot me a message. Hope you guys have a great day. I will talk to you tomorrow.